Hello and welcome to Sheila Lives Out Loud. My name is Sheila Mwanyega, and I'm very grateful that you're here with me for this episode. If you're new to this channel, please click subscribe and hit notifications. We try and upload new episodes every Monday, and I'd really like you to be a part of my journey, and I'd really like to be a part of your growth as a Kenyan, as a human, as an all-round child of God. With that said, today's episode is a difficult one. Information presented in this video may cause some people to act dangerously. If you are having suicidal thoughts, please seek support and assistance from a trained counselor. If you or a loved one are in immediate danger, please assist them in seeking support and assistance from a trained counselor. We are joined by Professor Robinson Ocharo from the University of Nairobi, Department of Sociology and Social Work, to speak about suicide. Good morning, Professor. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you're well.
I'm well.
Asante sana for making the time to speak about this. Over the past couple of weeks, there have been reports that have been shared in the media. There've been people on social media as well talking about the alarming increase in the numbers of suicide cases. Now, these are the ones that are reported. I'm sure there are others that go unreported. And the cases of suicide in this country have taken a forefront ever since the pandemic kicked off last year. I think it's aggravated the situation that many people are facing privately, some publicly. And these statistics that are being shared, these numbers that we're all talking about are cause for alarm. So in today's conversation, I'd like us to try and understand suicidal behavior, suicidal ideation, symptoms, things that could let us know someone is in trouble or someone doesn't even know how to seek help. And then we can also talk a little bit about what kind of help is available in Kenya today. So let's kick off with the very beginning. I know you were my lecturer and teacher and supervisor and still remain so, with understanding what suicide is. Then we move into suicidal ideation and the behavior itself.
Thank you very much. Suicide, if we take it at face value, millions of us have been attempting it. Face value. If you begin from self-harm, by self-harm is exposure to variables that are likely to cause your death. That we do it almost on a daily basis. But let's talk about the suicide that is scientifically explained.
Yeah,
taking one's life. Yeah, it's as old as Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet. It has been on.
That's true.
And what we're experiencing today is rising cases of the same without us considering seriously the reasons why, the trigger events and all that. Therefore, the kind of surprises, temporarily though, because after we bury them, it will be some good gossip there out there. So taking one's life is what is a concern. That is suicide. And one thing is that I was when it was reported in the papers, I was reading the other day. I said, let me look at the facts as they are.
Right.
You can't believe it. You can't believe it that women are ranking high in suicidal ideation.
Now, when we talk about ideation, it's very important that we be clear about what ideation means.
Okay, ideation is actually the thought of wanting to take one thing. Then there's the behavior. SB, suicidal behavior.
Yeah.
Is now actualizing it.
Okay.
You take poison, you stab yourself, you jump from a building. That's the behavior.
Okay.
So the behavior actually starts with ideation. The progression is ideation, then behavior, actualizing it. So the facts were quite shocking that as we are talking today, women are actually leading in ideation. But interestingly enough, men are leading in behavior, which tells us something that women actually, even if they have that thinking, they are able to regulate themselves. Majority are able to regulate themselves.
But
Not
men are struggling
like men.
with regulation, right?
They are struggling with regulations. That's why they are leading now in suicidal behavior. Yeah.
Okay. For many, it comes as a shock. Family members cannot believe. It's painful. It's terrible enough to deal with loss, but to know that that loss was at a loved one's hands is very difficult to fathom. And the questions become, why didn't we see it? Was there something happening that we missed? So let's talk about things that show you someone is past ideation, because like you said, everyone has had a suicidal thought in one form or another at one time or another. What are those, before we even think about causes, because causes, we're all such different human beings and are affected by life in such different ways, but symptoms are something that can be replicated. Symptoms are things that we can begin to see patterns. What would some of these symptoms be?
There is quite a range of symptoms, but let me begin by saying that suicide, starting from ideation to behavior, is actually associated with mental illness. And if you remember in my class, I used to tell you people that if we took a random test, an average Kenyan cannot miss 3 types of mental illness.
That's true.
But there are those extreme ones, PTSD, depression, anxiety behaviors, and all that. Those extreme ones are actually associated with suicide.
Right.
So it's like an engine. It's like a car engine. But once there is no cooling enough, it bursts. So cooling or heating is that mental illness thing. Then you exit by taking your own life. You exit from that pain by taking your own life. But yes, we can recognize actually self. You can do self. You can recognize that you're going through that. If you are serious about who you used to be and the changes in you in terms of thought and behavior. You can also recognize when your loved ones, your friend, and all that are actually changing their behavior to wanting to take their own life. So some of the symptoms will include isolating oneself. We call it social distancing.
Right.
I usually
the pandemic, but one where you literally
no.
Yes.
This one is isolating in terms of interaction. You stop playing the usual roles you used to play. You stop connecting the way you used to connect with friends, relatives. You stop connecting the way you used to connect at workplace. And all this is like you want your space to organize yourself to do what you're thinking you want to do. So that's one of the symptoms. I usually warn about children when it comes to this isolation. You might think that the children now are well behaved, they are not mingling out there when they used to mingle out there. That could be a dangerous interpretation. So one is isolation. The other one is a feeling of hopelessness, or feeling like you're trapped. You have no space. There is a theory that was developed some years back which we say you feel helpless.
Mm.
We call it learned helplessness. You learn to be helpless. There's nothing you can do to assist yourself. So if you used to work hard and look for money to assist yourself and all that, you find that even if I work hard, I can't make money. Even if I try this, it won't happen. So you feel hopeless. And
And
that's
that's
why you saw
pervasive right now, Mwalimu. It's so pervasive right now. If you look at how many people have lost their jobs since last year and are still losing their jobs this year, others are on half pay, others have mortgages, children in school, hospital bills, elderly parents. That feeling of hopelessness has been so pervasive since last year.
Actually, I was coming to that, saying that that's why you see in the papers, they are quick to pick the COVID-19 thing and how it has affected. Yes, it has.
Yeah.
But there's something that most of us have not done in our lives. To learn to be an interchangeable other person.
Please explain that.
You can.
Because how am I going to exchange myself?
You have to. If you want to have a positive, if you want to have a positive self-identity.
Yes.
Sheila, today you're lucky. You're using Zoom. But learn to be interchangeable other person and accept the situation as soon as it comes. So that when you have a mortgage and they're going to auction your house, your laptop, your everything, accept it and move on. Laugh at it. Most of us find it difficult to be interchangeable other person.
It's hard. It's hard to laugh when you're losing things that mean something to you. But I see where you're going with this. That who you are shouldn't be attached to these things because things come and things go. Learn to roll with these things as they come and as they go.
Including status.
Including status. Asante for saying that. Yes.
It will come and go. When it goes for health, for mental health, you have to laugh at yourself. Joke about it. And adjust quickly. Well, if my standing at Taifa all goes, I'll be bending in the chamber.
You will adjust to a new dimension and new yes. And this is something I think we all have to learn.
But most people find it hard to do that.
Yeah, true.
Well, then there is the obvious open symptom that people start talking about death. Simple things they talk. Kwa nini watu wanakufa? Kwa nini niishi? Why should I be alive? I think death is a solution. You know, they talk in kind of parables, but they're talking about death.
Right.
That is another symptom that they're headed there. Then, if people start giving away possessions, there are those who do that.
Okay.
They have things and are giving away. Why are you giving away? Because there is a road, there is a path on which you want to travel towards suicide. That's why you're giving your possession. You don't want them, and so on and so forth. Others will resort to substance abuse to zone off so that they can do what they want to do. Then others will develop mood swings. You're here, you're there. You're good, you're bad. You're happy, you're sad. That's another symptom that there's a thinking in them that I want to really exit this world. So they get those moods like, well, let me be happy. It's not good. Let me get like it must happen, and so on and so forth. Then you have those mood swings. There's people who engage in risk behaviors. Those we call them suicidal. They are suicidal. They engage in.
Don't care anymore. You put yourself.
They don't care. Yeah, they don't care. Especially, I've seen this. Of course, we've been talking, and I know research being done on youth and suicide. Youth are ranking high in risk behaviors. You have seen them on the road. You have seen them in the bars, everywhere. This one is like, well, if this one does not kill me, I'll die anyway.
Something's gonna get you. You only live once, so
Yeah.
do everything and go hard.
The other thing is a weapon. And that's why you saw the other day, the police were isolated.
Yeah.
And I think it was Parliament that was worried about the police and suicide.
You
know, the presence of a weapon kind of readily invites you.
Yes.
To do it. Yeah. Of course, anxiety also comes in as another symptom. The anxious, the jumpy and all that. Those are some of the symptoms that can tell you that somebody is likely to take his or her own life.
And in being able to discuss these symptoms, because, you know, these are things we already know, that if you notice a change in certain behaviors, you know, the anxiety.
Including self.
Even for yourself, exactly. When you begin
Yes.
to think about and you look at your new patterns or you look at a friend's patterns, for some reason, we always find it so much easier to explain away some of these behaviors without really taking a moment to just say, wait a minute, if this person wasn't like this, what could be happening?
What is going on?
I wasn't like this. Why am I here? If we never question, if we never take the time, and I guess the way life is moving, it's moving really fast. We're trying to stay alive, we're trying to survive. And so thinking critically about these changes, we don't pay attention to the things we should be paying attention to until terrible things happen. But I'd like us to move on to risk factors. Because, you know, in speaking of ideation and the behavior itself, you've already made mention of the fact that all of us will think about it at one point or the other. Women show a higher number in ideation, but do not actualize the event itself. However, men struggle with regulation. And I cannot help but think that maybe perhaps risk factors would be the next best angle to this conversation as we move forward, to understand what exactly happens. What is it that women are doing? Is it biological? Because I can't help but tie that to a risk factor. There are some people who are more likely. Why is the gender that is male more likely to see it through? Let's have a conversation on the risk factors.
Risk factor. Before I give you the risk factors, there's something you've said about this women-men thing.
Yeah.
And what comes into my mind is that yet we are to utilize to the full the free medicine of mental wellness, free of charge. Humor, laughter, and play.
Humor, laughter, and play.
Laughter
That's
and
medicine
play.
for the soul or for the mental
free medicine, mental health. But you see, if you go online, in America, in Europe, they have introduced online laughing clubs. You join, and the game is there is to laugh, so that it eases your cortex layer. It makes you focused. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's something, an outlet where you can see the light side of life, where you can exhale. And I get it. We live in a society where we love music, we love sports, we love the arts, but avenues to appreciate those are also limited.
We love horror movies as opposed to cartoons. You get the joke here. And then we love the workaholics as opposed to going to Churchill's show, something like that. You say you want to stay late, work hard. That work hard, you're actually burning yourself.
We've been taught to work hard, Mwalimu. We've been taught to build, accumulate, to amass wealth, to do whatever it takes to get this stuff, to get the stuff, to get the stuff, to get the stuff. And then now the pandemic hits, and now your opportunities to get the stuff are a bit limited. People have taken out loans for all kinds of things. It's very hard to laugh when you've got a bank on your neck every day.
Now, before we go to the risk factors,
Yes.
when I was young and energetic, I used to line up consultancies.
Mm-hmm.
Money, 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 money.
Mm-hmm.
And money is sweet.
It's good.
By 6, I used to be finding myself in the office.
In the morning.
10 in the evening, I was in the office.
Right.
When I went down, I started with medication,
Mm-hmm.
which is I had to go to psychotherapy.
Mm.
This old lady told me something, and I'll tell all Kenyans. Never give yourself to die for others to live. Love yourself.
Never give yourself to die for others to live.
Mm-hmm.
Love yourself.
That's it. Now let's go to the risk factors.
Okay, well, I feel like I should get a notebook and write all this down. But risk factors.
Well, they should be in your notes if you have not used them to write your G
I still have all my notes. My PhD is loading, you know.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, one risk factor is having attempted suicide.
Mm.
It's like they say, you've already tasted it.
Mm.
So why not try again? That's a risk factor.
Okay.
The other risk factor is mental health, as I mentioned earlier. If you have a mental condition, usually people start by, psychiatrists will start by depression. Me, I don't go through depression. Stress is enough.
Mm.
Before we go to the extreme depression, before we go to other mental illness, bipolar disorders and all that, seasonal adjustive disorders, those things are too extreme.
Mm.
For a good mental health, I start with stress.
Okay.
So if you have that condition, you are available for suicide. The other thing is this feeling of helplessness.
Mm.
Once you start nurturing that helplessness, you feel like you can do this thing within your means, you can do to change the situation, then there's nothing about your life.
Yeah.
If you don't push, if you don't start, you will say, fine, I have no meaning in this world. So I can actually take exit.
And I understand that one, Walimu, because you can imagine people who borrowed money from friends, from relatives, from the bank, from everybody. That feeling of helplessness, where you begin to look at yourself and think everyone thinks you're a failure. Everyone is looking at you and just, who's going to help you? Where are you going to get more money next? That feeling comes from, it's a very relatable feeling. And a lot of people are going
feeling you are a failure.
Yes, a lot of people are feeling that.
I'm a sociologist. I usually analyze the reason behind. The reason behind a street boy, a street girl laughing. Do they have any reason to laugh?
Well,
but you'll find themselves joking out there laughing.
Yes, they do. They do.
Do they have reason?
You also see the children playing in the dirt. You see them laughing, and you ask, why are you laughing? Yes.
And yet you are suffering. In your mind, you're saying they're suffering. But they have learned to be exchangeable other person.
Right.
They have adjusted the situation. What about you and me?
We must also try and find something in the life where we can smile, where we can be happy.
That's it. That's it. Yeah. You see, somebody told me one thing. Don't smile because you've given somebody a car or you've given somebody money. Smile because you actually shown somebody direction who was lost. Somebody stops in the street, oh, I'm looking for this building, it's there. Smile at that. Don't
Right.
wait for big things.
Right.
Small things also count. Now, the other factor which I've been always debating upon, I don't know what your take is.
Okay.
Who's better off? Is it a married person or a single person?
I would obviously say a single person. I mean, current lifestyle not clouding this situation, but
I have debated on that because
yeah.
there are people arguing that
Mm-hmm.
if you're single, that's a trigger factor,
Oh, really?
risk factor.
Right.
Others will argue if you're married, that's trouble enough. That's a risk.
That's where I would argue, because your list of stressors has just exponentially increased based on how many people are under your roof.
My take on this is, as a person,
Yeah.
either way, it depends on how you handle your situation.
Right. True.
Because if you're married and you've not organized your marriage in a way that there is peace, there is harmony, and the things are working out,
Yeah.
you're already in trouble. And if you're single and you're busy comparing yourself with others, instead of organizing your life around yourself, you're actually inviting trouble. So either way, it depends on how you handle yourself. It should be a risk factor, whether married or not married.
Okay.
Now, the other thing is when people have identity crisis, that is like finding yourself on crossroads.
Okay.
When you start asking yourself, do I or do I not? In most cases, you end up in the negative. In most cases. So that thing of identity crisis, especially with the youth, is quite heavy. And the other trend I'm seeing, and I'll talk about it without fear of contradicting myself, is these emerging religious commitment. I see it as an identity crisis. Okay. Imagining that today you are here, then another pastor starts another branch of that. You say this pastor is better than the other one. Of course, I usually argue that we should change with times. When there are times when our fathers and mothers used to enjoy singing Chakutumaini Sina. I don't think a young person will start singing that. They want to jump and dance. Give them that chance. But jumping from one group to another group, and then back to the other one, and so on, and then jumping out and jumping in, that means you've not found your space.
Okay.
And that can be dangerous. People who have who have gone through life-threatening events, like people who have been to war, people who have been to where the
natural
police are like,
disasters have happened.
Yes, like the police are like, there's an accident there, one pick a corpse there and all that. Right. That is also dangerous if they're not cancelled
appropriately
immediately after and continuously. That is another risk factor. And when you have a terminal illness,
right,
another risk factor.
Yes, I can see how a terminal illness would present itself as an opportunity and an avenue. And, it's back when HIV/AIDS, when we really didn't understand and we didn't know, I remember there were soaring numbers of suicide cases that were reported, because for many people, they saw an HIV positive diagnosis as basically you've just been told it's over. And so there were a lot of people at that time who unfortunately committed suicide. Yet with more understanding now, we're beginning to see, yes, you can still live a productive life. You can still have a healthy life. You can still have a future. And it's simply in how it is explained, it is broken down, and the help that you get moving forward. It is not a case for suicide. It should not be.
Should not be.
It should not be. Mwalimu, looking at where we are as a nation now, what can each and every single one of us do? Because we have friends and we have families, and we want to help. We want to be there for those who are suffering.
Well, there's individual intervention at individual level.
Right.
When you see it, when you notice such, either self or with a loved one, friend, and all that, the first thing is to get an expert counselor to handle you, because they will take you through what is disturbing you, and help you to build what we call habituation, to learn to live with it.
Right.
Because there are things you cannot remove from this world. Being stacking, I cannot remove it from this world. It's part of this world. So it's my way of looking at it that has to change. So that's individual level. I don't see it as a big problem if we as a country, if we organized, either an organization or the government organized what we call community counseling. In as far as we talk about health or well-being, we hardly focus on mental wellness. We talk in a healthy nation, we think about you and me physically being healthy, with less thought given to mental illness. The only thing we do mostly is to come in when it has happened. But we can prevent it. We had what we call community services that handle mental wellness.
Right. And when we think about community services, again, I can't help but think that we as a society need to start breaking down the perception of mental health. If someone is struggling with mental health, it is an illness. It is something that can be handled. We can, if I look at the cases of what's been happening in the disciplined forces, sometimes we hear about one officer has taken the gun and has done terrible things to someone else and to themselves. We see these stories. And the reaction to these stories, it's like someone having a broken leg and then someone putting a handy plaster and saying, okay, now we fix the problems. Officers and people within ranks or in the forces shouldn't date amongst themselves. Love is another kettle of fish altogether. You cannot control who you're going to fall in love with. You will love who you will love. The heart wants what it wants. But in coming up with policies, especially in the forces, people who have these weapons, saying to them, if you feel you have mental challenges, you won't be penalized for it. You won't lack promotions because you stood up and said you have a problem. Because a lot of people suffer quietly because the question becomes, mtasema mimi ni wazimu. Mental health is not kwa wazimu, but the attachment, breaking down that stigma, Mwalimu, it starts from the ground up. It's not handy-plast solutions.
No. What I know is that in my profession, me being in class, for years, I've noticed and done early intervention. Part of management, and that will go to the discipline of forces. Part of management is to closely monitor change in behavior of those under you.
Right. And
do quick intervention. If I'm your boss, Sheila, and I see change in your behavior, I will not shy away from telling you something is not right.
Right.
I will not shy away from asking you to look me in the eyes and tell me the truth about what's going on in your life. I know usually when I approach it like that, of course, the first thing is that they break down, which means they're telling you, yes, something is going on. And if those in management don't do close monitoring, then we will be doing very little to help those people.
Right.
As you said, yes, of course, marriage within the forces, what the best it can do is to say, fine, you belong to the same, and therefore there will be no such respect as it should be, and might lose terms of coordination and working towards the same goal. Because I'll be seeing this other person as my wife, this one will be seeing me as my husband, and not a colleague with the same mission.
Right.
That will help, but not. It will do very little to assist in taming mental illness.
Mental illness, exactly. Yeah. Fantastic. Mwalimu, you are always a well of knowledge. I'm so grateful for this time. We could talk and talk and talk.
Thanks for spoiling me.
No, I think it's important that we all use our knowledge, we all use what we have to create, smaller pockets of information, especially relevant to the Kenyan situation. And we as Kenyans need to talk about this more. And so I'm so grateful that you made time from your very busy schedule at the University of Nairobi to make the time to share that knowledge.
No, I'm not at the University of Nairobi.
Uko?
See, you told us to work from home. I'm working from home.
And where is home?
Kisii.
Look at the joy of Zoom. I love it. Working remotely, but sharing the knowledge.
Why didn't you use Zoom to do counseling?
It can be done. I'm telling you, why not? I want to get, let me finish all my paperwork, get everything in order, and then why not, Mwalimu? Why not?
Good.
Thank you.
Once
again, if you've watched this and there's knowledge that you know needs to be shared, please share this video. I will not take offense, and drop a comment in the comment section below. Please share it once again, because there are a lot of people amongst us who are suffering silently, and we cannot stand there and say, oh, but we never knew. How did this happen? Let's get active. Let's get talking about mental health. Let's get helping each other. One life gone is one life too many. Let's make that difference. Thank you for watching this episode. I look forward to catching up with you again next week. Until then, live out loud, really loud, in all that you do. Bye for now.